Hello everyone and welcome to the RPA Champions channel, the place where we dive deep into automation and explore how it can make our lives easier and our work more efficient. Today we are going to be looking at AutoGen Studio from Microsoft. This is an amazing technology that is going to help us save countless hours of time by automating different GPTs for us to do some amazing automations and perform some really cool. And as a final note, this is a very important skill to have in this coming times, as AI is becoming more and more of a necessity for everybody to use, and also a necessity for many businesses to have inside of their solutions. So knowing how to automate different GPTs and be ahead of the curve, it is going to provide you with a strong competitive advantage. Therefore, keep this in mind. Let's jump and let's start with installing AutoGen Studio. AutoGen is a library that is released by Microsoft. It is a library that is going to help you have different or multi-agent conversations. So it is going to help you orchestrate the conversation between different GPTs that are talking to each other with somebody that is managing them, that is another GPT. It also easily integrates with different applications and also allows you to use different models for different kinds of tasks and to build your own skills. We're going to see all of this. However, this is available on GitHub. It is Python based. It is a library that you can write code. However, on top of this, there is a no code, low code solution, meaning that we're going to be using a studio to rapid prototype the different solutions that we want to create. Also, before diving into AutoGen, it is good to get the understanding with a no code, low code, or a studio solution that is going to help us visualize these different functions with different buttons and allow us to create quickly different solutions, also if we don't know how to code. Now, AutoGen Studio, it is very simple to set up. To set up AutoGen on your computer, it is going to be very easy. The first thing that you have to do is set up a couple of dependencies. So you need to set up Python, or you need to install Python. It is as simple as going to the Python webpage and downloading the installation file for Windows or for Mac or whatever system you are on. The next thing that you are going to need, and that is going to make your life much easier, it is not a necessity, but it is going to make everything a lot easier, is Visual Studio Code. This is going to allow you to edit the little bit of code that we are going to write and need to input while setting this up, and also from configuring it later in the future. This is just going to allow you to read and visualize the code nicer. So I do advise it. However, it is not a necessity to set up. You can go also forward without setting up Visual Studio Code. That is all of the different necessities or requirements that we need. And the other thing that we are going to do is create a virtual environment. Why do we need to create a virtual environment, and what is a virtual environment? Now, a virtual environment, since this AutoGen Studio is going to be installing different applications on our computer based on the different requirements. So for example, if it needs to install a library to run a Python script, it is going to install that inside of our virtual environment. So we don't want it to install things on our machines. That's why we're setting up a virtual environment. This step, you can also skip it, but I strongly suggest that you set up a virtual environment. Here they show us how to set up a Conda virtual environment. However, we are not going to use Conda. We're just going to use a Python virtual environment. Now, I have asked ChatGPT to set up a virtual environment for me, and this is the kind of code that it has given me. So this is the command that you need to run after installing Python inside of the directory where you're going to be installing AutoGen. So the first thing that you have to do is create an empty folder. In this case, I have created the folder called AutoGen. This folder was completely empty. Now, once you have created this folder, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to open this folder from Visual Studio. You're going to go to Visual Studio and open the AutoGen folder that you have created. And after that, you're going to run and visualize the terminal. So we're going to be inserting different commands inside of the terminal. And this is going to be the terminal where we're going to be setting up our environment and everything else. Now, the first thing that we need to do is set up a Python environment, a new virtual environment. We're going to do this with this code right here. Now, if this code doesn't work, remove the Python 3 or check how it has been installed on your system. It can be just py Python or with Python 3. After that, after you run this command, you need to activate your virtual environment, meaning that you need to start. And you're going to be using this code right here. Once you use this code right here, you're going to have a visualize something like this, meaning that you are currently working in your virtual environment. And this is where we are going to install AutoGen. To install AutoGen, there is just a simple command, which is pip install AutoGen. And that's pretty much it. All the installation process is done. After that, to start AutoGen, we will just run AutoGen UI inside of our terminal right here, and the process would start. There is one more thing that we have to do. There are some agents that are going to require a internal API key to function. So we are going to set up a API key for OpenAI. Now you need an OpenAI API key to use AutoGen because it's going to be connecting to the OpenAI GPT-4. However, you can also use local models like Olama or any other local models that you would like to connect to AutoGen. Another comment that I would like to mention is that for OpenAI, we would need to set up a command that is like this and copy and paste this inside of the terminal so that we can have the API key set up and working. Now, once all of this is done, we can do AutoGen UI and launch the AutoGen Studio that we have installed on our computer. Now, to access AutoGen, we would click on this link that is appearing here in the terminal, or in the browser, just visit this link right here. And this is what it is going to look like. It is going to look like with just a few skills and a few things. These are all different skills that I have created, but it's going to be structured like this. We're going to have a build, a playground, and a gallery, and skills, model, agents, and workflows. How does all of this work? And how is all of this going to allow us to automate and save countless hours of times? This is super exciting, and I'm really excited about this technology because the potential of this and currently also the existing use cases are amazing. So in the skill sections, this is where we're going to create Python functions that generate or solve different tasks. Now, for example, like create a flight search. So what is this? So this is a API call to Skyscanner to get the cheapest flights in US dollars for a specific destination. Let's check out something else. So for example, I get YouTube transcript. This is a script that gets the transcript of a YouTube video. So what are basically skills? Skills are different Python functions in this syntax right here that are going to help us solve different tasks. Now I know I said low code, no code, and this seems like code. However, what we can do is we can take this code right here and go to GPT and ask it to create different functions for us. I have already done it a couple of times and created a few different functions, and it seems to work with a little bit of fine tuning. Therefore, so this is, for example, one of the functions that I have created. It needed a little bit of fine tuning, but it is a great start. And what I mean by fine tuning is just pasting the message back to GPT and getting the response. So once we create a skill, after that we can use our skill inside of our agents. Now our agents, what are the agents? The agents are different agents or different employees or different users that are tasks with specific actions. So for example, we have a strategic advisor here. A strategic advisor, we have a system message that puts this into context, that puts this strategic advisor into context and tells it what it can do. We can also add different skills to this advisor. So for example, like you're a strategic advisor, that you're specialized in doing certain things, and you can also use different skills that we have created, all of the different skills that we have created right here. In this example right here, it doesn't use a skill. However, what it does, it passes information between the different agents inside of a workflow to get the best answer for you. So let's see another, for example, like get flight prices. So this is a AI assistant that uses a skill that is create flight search, and it gets the data from the flight information so that it can pass it to another advisor that is going to create a custom travel plan for you. We can also see a viral content creator. This is the latest one that I have used. This is using two different skills. It is using a fetch trending topic skill that is making a API call to Google Trends, and then is taking the most trending keyword and is creating an outline for that keyword before passing it to the Copywriter Pro. The Copywriter Pro is going to take this sample outline, and then with a very strong and detailed prompt, it is going to create a blog outline, an article outline, just the way that it has been described here. All of these assistants, we can see that they are using different models. We can add whatever kind of model that we want. In this example, I'm using GPT-4 Preview because it is the simplest one to get started with. If you go to the models part, you can add a new model. In this example, I have the default model is this, and the only thing that you're going to need is the API key of your model. Once you paste your API key, you should test the model and make sure that it's working. After that, all of your agents can use that model that you have created, or different models that could be specific for different tasks or for different information sources that you are analyzing. There are also a couple of default agents. So for example, if you create a new agent, a default sample assistant is going to be created. This sample assistant has a very good prompt that allows it to use and install code on the virtual environment that we are working on, allowing it to create and use different applications with Python. Once we have created a new agent, and once we have added it the skills and the model that it needs, set up the system message, and also added the human input mode, meaning that it never is going to communicate with the user. That means that it is not going to ask for input from the user. It is just going to communicate with other chatbots. Once we have configured all of this, now this is when the magic happens. This is our workflows. Our workflows are like a chat group where we can add all of the different agents in a conversation and have them talk to each other to try to figure out what makes the most sense and what we should do to resolve the user prompt or the task that the user has provided. Now remember, with ChatGPT, it's all about prompting and asking for different information or insight. Here it is all about tasks and completing different activities for us. So let's see one of these that has been already created. So general agent workflow, this is a default workflow. We can see that to configure the workflow, we just need the workflow name, the description, and the summary method, last, none, or LLM. We also have the most important part, which is the sender and the receiver. So who is sending the message, who is receiving the message? So in the sender, for example, we have this robot right here that is called a user proxy, and this is just a simple robot that doesn't have any model or any skill, that all that is doing is just passing the message from the user and is passing it to the primary assistant. Now the primary assistant, what it does, it has its prompt right here. It is able to do all of these things. It is taking from the user proxy the prompt and the information, and it's trying to solve it using the GPT-4 model and using these different skills that have been added by default. So this skill right here, it is a skill to find papers on ARXIV, and the other one is to generate images. Now you can't use these skills without replicating this this assistant, the primary assistant, because they're not in your skills. But if you create a primary assistant, you can use these skills and also add your own skills that you have created so that you can amplify its functionality. So currently this general agent workflow has one robot here, which is a primary assistant with 2 skills, and already with this it can do a lot of things. Let's put it to the test and see what we can do with just the general agent workflow that is a default workflow that is already provided after installing it. So how would we test all of the different agents that we create? We will go into the playground and create a new session. From the new session, we would select the different workflow that we want, so general agent workflow, and let's click on create. Let's try this prompt right here. I want to create a presentation in PDF format about the 5 sweetest fruits from the Amazon. And let's run this. Now, keep in mind that once you run this, it is going to take a little bit of time to get your answer. Why? Because different agents are interacting. Do you want to see what is happening behind the screen? In that case, you would open up your Microsoft Visual Studio, and in here in the Visual Studio you are going to see what is going to be happening. So right now we send this prompt right here to the primary assistant to the user proxy. To create a presentation about 5 sweets from the Amazon, we will need the following these steps. Research the identity, the 5 sweetest fruits from the Amazon, generate images for each one, create a presentation with the information and images of the fruits, convert the presentation into a PDF format, amazing, and so on and so on. So it is creating a a Python file that is going to generate images, and it is continuing with the execution and with the processing of all of the different steps. So the primary assistant has identified a work plan for the different assistant to follow, and right now it is going to iterate through its plan, completing all of the different steps that it finds. We can fine-tune inside of the configuration, we can fine-tune the number of messages, and we can set different limits and all of the different configuration. Now keep in mind that the studio version, meaning this graphical interface, has some limitations as it is not directly code and you cannot fine-tune every single thing. However, for us to get started and to create already amazing workflows and test out this new technology, it is great. Another observation that I wanted to pass is that all of the technologies that we are using are Microsoft technologies. They seem to be on top of things in terms of automation and where things are going. Also on my channel, I visit a lot or I create a lot of content about Microsoft Power Automate Desktop and Cloud Flow, which are tools used for manual and repetitive automation. But when we combine AI and generative AI into the mix, this whole process becomes much more scarier in terms that we can automate end-to-end processes, meaning that we can automate the cognitive part and we can automate the repetitive part as well. So we can see that it's actually installing different libraries like Python PPTX. It has installed, and if we go into our libraries, so this is the virtual environment that we have created, and we see all of the different scripts. So we go into the libraries and we see all of the different libraries that this has installed on our computer. It is pretty amazing. So it is installing the different libraries also from the previous prompts that I have sent. It is trying to create a file. It is having some issues, but no matter what, sometimes it resolves these issues by itself just by creating another file and iterating over it. Now we could also give it all kinds of commands. I have created all kinds of different workflows for all kinds of different things that give way much better answers than if we were just to talk with GPT. I have done a experiment where I have previously created ChatGPT to create me a brochure for to download, for example, like what are the 5 biggest fish or the biggest fish in the ocean, and it has created me a PDF document. However, the output of the document doesn't nowhere resembles the quality of the document that comes out from a iteration or a back and forward for different agents. Now our agent has completed, I believe, and this is what it has created. So it has created different files for us. It has created a PowerPoint presentation, and it has also generated an image for each one of the different fruits from the Amazon rainforest. Isn't that amazing? We're able to accomplish all of this with just a simple prompt that was, I want to create a presentation in PDF format about the 5 sweetest fruits from the Amazon. Now, these 8 results, we can investigate them further, but I want to show you that there has been 18 messages sent in here and 3 minutes of time. So it starts off with the user proxy user passing this message to the primary assistant. The primary assistant then creates a plan. It starts creating a script that is going to do different things. The user proxy then talks again with the primary assistant, telling it that the code is having, or the image was saved right here, and continues going on with the different fruits. One has installed all of different fruits. After that, it installs a library on my computer that allows me to create PowerPoint presentations. After that, it creates some information that is going to put inside of the PowerPoint, and it outputs all of this information to me. You can also try with the general agent workflow. You can also try the different buttons right here that are going to give you some pre-built prompts that you can already try. So for example, paint a picture of a glass of Ethiopian coffee freshly brewed in a tall glass cup and a table right in front of a lush green forestry scenery. Now this, again, it is going to call the assistant, the user proxy, and the other agent, and the information is going to be passed between them. However, let's take a look, once this is finished, at a more complex workflow where we can create different skills and put together those skills to have a workflow that is going to solve information for us. This has already created a image of a coffee in a beautiful cup with a very lush background. We can also see the script and prompt that was used to create this file. Now, if we go to the gallery, now once we have created one of these libraries or one of these sessions that we like, we can choose to publish it so that we can see it and use it and share it and visualize it later for reference and to know what is working for the application that we are going to be building with this kind of technology or solution. So in here, I have already used this on different examples. So for example, right here, we have a request that is a request to go to Tokyo. However, I cannot see anymore the details of the messages. So as we can see, it is taking my simple request message. It is breaking it down. It is doing different things such as identifying the departure airport IDE code for Milan and for Tokyo. It's putting the dates accordingly. It is searching on Flight Scanner. It is creating a guide for me to do, and so on. So the potential of these technologies are countless. Also, if you would like to see me create a step-by-step process, or where we're going to create by building a skill, by building an agent and a workflow, please let me know the exact use case or example that you would like to create, and I'll make sure that I create it. Thank you so much for watching my video, and if you've stuck together with me until the end, I wanted to thank you and to highlight how important it is that you're learning the skills and being a pioneer in generative AI, in AI engineering, in flow creation, in automation, but overall in intelligent automation. So give yourself a pat on the back, because you rule, you really do. You are going to be a new leader in this AI world. So keep on learning these things and give yourself a high five. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.